Hello everyone, welcome to the class once again. I hope you all are doing good and in the best of your health. I hope you have seen all the classes of this chapter, thermal properties of matter, and you are thorough with all the concepts used in this chapter. We'll be discussing JEE Advanced pattern question based upon this chapter, thermal properties of matter. And let me tell you, in JEE Advanced examination, question asked are of single choice, more than one option correct, integer type, accession region, and matrix match. Even you can get paragraph type jumbled questions also, where you will be provided with a paragraph, and based upon that paragraph you have to answer next 2 or 3 questions, as many questions they can include. Now in your integer type question you will be having one option, and you have to actually bubble a circle that is coinciding with the integer you're getting as the answer. In single choice, again it will be one option will be the correct answer. In more than one choice, you can get more than one option as the correct answer. Let's go ahead with the first question of this chapter, that is thermal properties of matter based upon JEE Advanced pattern exercise. The first question comes here. Starting with the same initial conditions, an ideal gas expands from volume V1 to V2 in 3 different ways. The work done by the gas is W1 if the process is purely isothermal, W2 if it's purely isobaric, and W3 if it's purely adiabatic. Then A, W2 is greater than W1 greater than W3, B, W2 is greater than W3 is greater than W1, and C, W1 is greater than W2 is greater than W3, and W1 is greater than W3 greater than W2. So it's a jumbled kind of relation. So what we can do? We can apply the equations. We all know that work done during an isobaric process is work done equal to P delta V. That is what we know. Work done during an isothermal process, we all know that that is N. You can apply 2.303 nRT log V2 by V1. That is what you can apply. And for work done in adiabatic process, I have told it's P1 V1 minus P2 V2 divided by P1 minus P2. That is what we have learned in this case of 3 work done. Now in this case, how to find out the work done? Very simply, in very simple method. We all know that by curve relation, we all know that this is pressure given here, this is volume that's mentioned here. See, its volume is changing from V1 to V2, starting with the same initial conditions. So pressure will be same. An ideal gas expands from volume V1 to V2 in 3 different ways. The work done by the gas is W1 if the process is purely isothermal, W2 if purely isobaric. So I will be commenting first on W2, purely isobaric. Let's say we started the process from here, and from here, that is from this point where the volume is V1, and let's say the pressure is P0. Since the process is isobaric in the second case, so we can draw the curve as this one for W2. It's an isobaric case. This is the final volume V2 that is attained. Very simply we can comment on this. Now understand the process adiabatic and isothermal. The adiabatic curve will have more slope, that is what we know. The adiabatic curve will have more slope, or it will be somewhat like this. This will be the case of adiabatic curve, and I will be talking about isothermal case. Now isothermal case, how it will be depicted, let me show you the isothermal case. It will be somewhat like this. This will be the case of isothermal curve. So W1, where it will be lying? W1 will be in the center, because W1 if the process is purely isothermal. So this will be the case of W1, and this will be the case of automatically for adiabatic W3. Now in the 3 cases, whenever you have a PV curve, you can easily evaluate it by seeing the area under the curve. So maximum work done is in the case of W2, then we have W1, then we have W3. So maximum work done will be in the case of isobaric, then we have isothermal, then we have adiabatic, that is W3. So W2 is greater than W1 greater than W3. Option number A, W2 is greater than W1 greater than W3. Correct option W2, this is incorrect. C, W1 greater than W2 greater than W3, incorrect, and W1 greater than W3 greater than W2, that's incorrect. This is how we can do. So what you do, just take a note of this curve, and I'll start with the other question. Take a note of this curve. Now this curve is quite important for you all. You should have a note of this curve and how you can actually relate the case of isothermal adiabatic and the isobaric process. These three processes we have discussed in detail in our regular classes discussion, and hope you have understood each of the concepts that we have discussed. Now we'll proceed with the next question of the class. Two metallic spheres S1 and S2 are made of the same material and have got identical surface finish. That means their reflecting or absorbing will be same. The mass of S1 is thrice that of mass of M2. So if I write mass of S1 as M1 and mass of S2 as M2, that is given as, and mass of mass of S2 is M2. So we have mass of S1 is thrice of M2. So we can write M1 is equal to 3 times of M2. That is what that has been given to us. Both these spheres are heated to the same high temperature and placed in the same room having lower temperature but are thermally insulated. Both these spheres are heated to the same high temperature and placed in the same room having lower temperature but are thermally insulated. That means they are not touching each other. The ratio of the initial rate of cooling of S1 to that of S2 is, we have to find out what is the rate of cooling for S1 to S2. Rate of cooling, that is what is required, that is delta T by rate of change in temperature divided by time. Now see here, we all know that the heat radiated will be actually delta Q. This is equal to E sigma A T to the power 4. This is what we know, E sigma A T to the power 4, rate of heat energy actually emitted. This is delta Q by delta T. This is what we know. And next we know that the heat radiated can also be written as delta Q is equal to MC delta T. We all know this, MC delta T. Now what you do, you divide this equation number 1 by equation number 2. See what you are going to obtain when you divide equation number 1 by 2. You will be obtaining delta Q by delta Q will be cancelled and will be getting 1 by T is equal to E sigma A to the power 4, E sigma A T to the power 4 divided by MC delta T. This is what we are going to obtain. Now clearly if I take this delta T here, so we are going to have delta T by T is equal to E sigma A T to the power 4 divided by M into C. First thing we obtain. So this will actually give you the rate of cooling that is actually rated to here we have in this way. Now you see here, both these spheres are heated to same high temperature, that initial temperature is same, and placed in the same room having lower temperature but are thermally insulated from each other. The ratio of the initial rate of cooling of S1 to that of S2. So initial rate of cooling we need to actually obtain. Here you see E sigma A and M, that is what we are having. Now their radius, if we talk about, they are of same material, made of same material and have got identical surface, that is E sigma will be same, that we have to use. E will be the same and sigma is already, it's a constant, Boltzmann constant. The mass of S1 is thrice that of S2. We all know that mass is equal to density, because material is same, so density I am using same, density into volume, 4 by 3 pi r cube. This is what we can use. Area is what? Area is actually 4 pi r square. This will be the exposed area. Now if in terms of r, if I go and place here area value and mass value, see what I am going to get, because mass is here. So if I go and put here in terms of A, and for A I am value in terms of r, and let me rub this. It's not required. Let me rub this. M1 equals 3 M2, that is what you need to remember. From here you see delta T by T, that is with respect to time, E sigma A T to the power 4. So E sigma, value of A is 4 pi r square, and here you have T to the power 4 divided by, and the value of mass comes out to be rho 4 by 3 pi r cube divided and multiply with C. This is what we are going to get final relation. Now clearly now we have used the value of mass, we have used the value of mass, we have used the value of area. After this, you see here r square, we have here r, and rest all terms are constant. So what I'm going to do, you see E sigma both will be same for both the two, but here you see, and T is also same and C is also same. So we can write delta T by time T, or let us use delta T also here. Everywhere you can use delta T, that will be proportional to 1 by r. That will be proportional to 1 by r. That is what we can comment. Now see here, we need to find out how they are related. Delta T by delta T, the ratio in terms of, for S1 S2, the ratio of initial rate of cooling of S1 to that of S2. So we need to find out delta T of S1 divided by the rate of cooling of S2. That should be what? Now that will come out to be, it should be equal to R2 by R1. This is the ratio that we can comment on. Now you come here, mass equal to sigma rho into 4 by 3 pi r cube. So if I write about r will come out to be direct, r cube will be proportional to m. We can write that r cube is proportional to m. See what we are going to get. R cube is proportional to m, that is what we can write. So if I write, because m1 and m2 is equal to thrice of m2, so r1 by r2 whole cube will be proportional to m1 by m2, and m2 is how much? M1 is thrice of m2. So this we can write, this will be equal to 3 times proportional to, because m1 is thrice of m2, so this will be proportional to 3 r1 by r2. This is what you can actually write. Now r2 by r1 we need. R2 by r1 will be what? It will come out to be r2 by r1 will be proportional to 1 by 3 to the power 1 by 3. This is what we can comment. So r2 by r1 you need to write down, that is actually 1 by 3 to the power 1 by 3. You can actually, from here you can actually equate without using proportionality, you can actually equate this to the value 1 by 3 to the power 1 by 3. Let's see which value actually fixes with the solution. A 1 by 3, no. B 1 by root 3, that's no. Root 3 by 1, that's no. 1 by 3 to the power 1 by 3, that's what the response we are getting. It's a very good question. I hope that you have obtained how to solve such kind of question. It's a very good question. Based upon rate of cooling, we have used Stefan's Boltzmann law. We have used the concept of heat energy radiated, lost and radiated. Both the equations we have used, and finally we reached onto this result. Very interesting question. 2 concepts have been used. Such question can be asked in your JEE advanced examination, where 2 or more concepts can be actually clubbed together to actually find a solution of a question. Third question. Earth receives 1400 watt per meter square of solar power. If all the solar energy falling on a length of area 0.2 square meter is focused onto a block of ice of mass 280 gram, the time taken to melt the ice in minutes will be, latent heat of fusion of ice is 3.325 joule per kg. See here, all time taken, you see how much heat energy will be required to actually convert that ice into water. 280 gram of ice of the mass of ice is given as 280 gram. Heat energy required to convert ice to water. Heat required will be ml, that is what we know. Mass is 0.28 kg. Multiply with 3.3 into 10 to power 5 joule. This is the first thing, that is the heat energy required. Now 1400 watt per square meter of solar power is actually falling, and it's falling on an area of 0.2 meter square. So how much energy is actually falling per second on the lens? So energy received by lengths per second, energy received by lengths per second will turn out to be, that should be equal to 1400 joule per second per square meter multiplied with 0.2, that is what that has been given, 0.2. Clearly you can solve this, 140 into 2, it will come out to be 280 joule per second. This is the energy received per second. Now time, we need to find out what is the time taken. Time taken will be very simply in seconds, it will come out to be, I am writing T, that stands for time, I am not writing an entire statement, time taken to actually for the process for the ice to get converted to water. That will be 0.28 multiplied with 3.3 multiplied with 10 power 5 divided by 280. This is what you can actually follow. So this you will get in seconds. You will get in seconds. So finally the answer will turn out to be 0.28. If you do that, you get 1 upon 1000, you will get 3.3 into 10 to power 2. This is what you are going to obtain. This can be written as 0.2. Oh, okay, yes, this will get 100,000 times, and here you will be getting 3.3 10 to power 2. This comes out to be 330 seconds. So in minutes it will be how much? 5 minutes 30 seconds, or we can write 5.5 minutes. So 5.5 minutes will be the answer, because 5 minutes 30 seconds can be expressed as 5.5 minutes. Option number A, 4, no, B, 5.5 minutes. That's the right answer. Believe that you have obtained what I need to tell you in this exercise. Easy one, not too tough. We will proceed from here to the next question. And I hope that all this practice of exercises proved to be of great help to you all. Question number 4. 3 rods of copper, brass and steel are welded together. Copper, brass and steel are welded together to form a Y-shaped structure. Area of cross section of each rod is 4 square centimeter. End of copper rod is maintained at 100 degrees Celsius, whereas ends of brass and steel are kept at 0 degrees Celsius. Lengths of the copper, brass and steel rods are 46, 13 and 12 centimeter respectively. So each one has got different length. You have to use different length, don't use the same length in the given question. 46, 13 and 12 centimeter respectively. The rods are thermally insulated from surroundings except at ends. Thermal conductivities of copper, brass and steel are this much, 0.92, 0.26, 0.12 in CGS units. Remember, the units used are CGS units. Respectively, rate of heat flow through copper rod is. See, they are connected in a Y-shaped structure. So if I draw a Y-shaped structure, it will be somewhat like this. 3 rods of copper, brass and steel. I am going to draw an inverted structure. This would be why I am drawing this. This you will understand as I complete the figure, as I start explaining to you all about this diagram. Let's say this is a copper rod, then we have the brass and steel, and next we have their end temperatures. I believe it's clear to you all about this Y-shaped arrangement. Let's say this is the copper one, then we have copper, brass and steel. Let's say this is the brass one, and let's say this is the steel. They are maintained at different temperatures. The ends are maintained at different temperatures. Area of cross section of each is 4 square centimeter. End of copper rod is 100 degrees Celsius. And both these ends are 0 degrees Celsius. Area of each is given as 4 square centimeter. This is what that has been given. Area is 4 square centimeter. Whereas ends of brass and steel are kept at 0 Celsius. Length of copper, brass and steel rods are 46, 13 and 12. Copper, brass and steel. So I am mentioning this as L of copper 46, L of brass as LB as 13 and L of steel as LS, that is 12, all in centimeters. Next, you see, I have drawn the diagram clearly so that you can understand. The rods are thermally insulated from surroundings. They are insulated from surroundings, so there is no heat actually transfer either from surrounding to the rod or rod to the surrounding. Thermal conductivity of copper, brass and steel are 0.92, 0.26, 0.12. Thermal conductivities are 0.96, then we have 0.92, 0.92, and for brass it is given as 0.26, and for steel we have been provided this as 0.12. This is given for the thermal conductivity of copper, brass and steel. In CGS units, we will see later on about how to supply the units in CGS system, respectively rate of heat flow through copper rod is. Now see what will happen. Quite simple for us to understand. The heat energy will be transferred from this copper rod. This will be the junction. Let's say temperature is T, and then it will be transmitted to this one. Let's say, now see, it will be reaching here, and same it will be reaching here also. Now you see, heat energy transmitted from through copper rod and heat energy transmitted through brass rod, heat energy transmitted through steel rod. We all can say that as heat energy is transmitted here, it gets distributed. So heat energy transmitted through copper will be equal to heat energy transmitted through brass plus heat energy transmitted through steel. This is what we can comment, delta Q by delta T brass and delta Q by delta T for steel. This is what we can actually comment for each of the rods. Now we require rate of heat flow through copper rod is. First of all, let me actually write in proper terms. K of copper, then K A, difference in temperature 100 minus T divided by length of copper is equal to again K of steel, quite calculative questions, multiply with A, then temperature difference will be T minus 0 and divided by length of brass plus K of, it's a brass, so let me use here brass, plus K of steel A T minus 0 divided by L of steel. This is what we can actually comment for proper how the heat flow equation is actually taking place. K of copper is given, L of copper is given, L of brass is given, L of steel is given. Everything we can place with proper values. A and A will be cancelled out. That's not required. K of copper with improper CGS system. So let me put the value as 0.92 with proper CGS units. 0.92 multiplied with 100 minus T. Centimeter, let me put the length of copper as centimeter 46 is equal to finally KB, that is 0.26 multiplied with T, and length of brass is given as 13 plus K of steel, that is 0.12 multiplied with T divided by its length, that is 12. All in CGS system already we have actually put up the units. From here you can obtain the value of temperature. Only the calculation portion is left, so we can obtain the value of temperature. So before finding the value of temperature, let me actually wipe the board. So you take note till here and let me get the value of temperature. Okay, now I know that most of you can evaluate this calculation portion, that's not a big problem. Temperature will come out to be 40 degrees Celsius. Now when temperature you have obtained, clearly you can obtain the value of rate of heat flow through copper, and that will turn out to be rate of heat flow through copper will turn out to be 0.92 into 100 minus T divided by 46, 0.92 into 100 minus T, that is 100 minus 40 divided by 46. See, this will come out to be 46 will go 2 times. So you will be obtaining the answer in proper units. So 0.92 into 60, this is what you are going to obtain, divided by 46. So this will turn out to be 0.9 to 46, this will go 2 times, 4692. So this will come out to be 0.2 multiplied with 60, that is what you're going to obtain. So you can easily actually comment. Now next thing, all values are given in CJ system, it will be taken care of. So you take note till here, let me start at the other end, take note till here. Now one more thing, you see here I have written directly this value, but this is the area also we need to actually include here. So put here area and put here 4 square centimeter. So you will be getting 4.8 calorie per second, that is the value of rate of heat flow, 4.8 calorie per second. Option number A, 1.2. If you miss the area, you're going to miss the right answer, you're going to mark 1.2, that is incorrect. B, 2.4 is incorrect. C, 4.8 is the correct response. D is 6 calorie per second, that is the incorrect. So I believe that you would have taken note of this. And before starting the next question, let me wipe the board. You can just let me wipe the board and just take note of this entire question. So wish that you would have taken note of this entire question and you would understood how to solve this question. It's a good question, not too tough, but you should have an idea. Actually, it's steps you have to take to first find the junction temperature, and then you have to find out the rate of heat flow through the one of the rods that has been given. Now without taking more time, let me switch to the last question of this session, that is fifth one. 3 very large plates of same area are kept parallel and close to each other. They are considered as ideal black surface and have very high thermal conductivity. The first and third plates are maintained at temperatures 2T and 3T respectively. The temperature of the middle, that is second plate, under steady state condition is. I believe that you all have understood the scenario of the question. See, it says that the first plate is maintained at 2T. This is the first plate, it's maintained at 2T. There's a middle plate, let's say its temperature is T0, and then we have the third plate, that is this, let's say its temperature is 3T, that is what that has been given. Now it says that what is the steady state temperature, the temperature of the middle plate under steady state conditions. Now as per heat flow, you see heat will start flowing from here to here and then from here to here. We all know that it's the formula that will be valid, that will be sigma A T to the power 4. You see 3 very large plates of same area, that is area is same and are kept parallel and close to each other. They are considered as ideal black surface, so we need not use the value of E. Sigma A T to the power 4 will be enough. Have very high thermal conductivity. Now we all know that heat transfer from 3T to the middle plate, heat transfer from third to second will be equal to heat transfer from second to first. Under steady state condition, this will be valid. Heat transfer from second to first. Now apply this. We all know that sigma A to the power 4 you have to apply. So sigma A 3T to the power 4 minus, you should apply sigma A, and the second temperature is T0 to the power 4 is equal to sigma A T0 to the power 4 minus sigma A 2T to the power 4. This is what you have to apply. You have to find the value of T0 in terms of temperature T. Already you have all the values. Simply you have to do some calculation, you will get the required result. 3 to the power 4, 3 to the power 4, that is 81. So 81 T to the power 4, and this will be minus T0 to the power 4 is equal, I am not using sigma, that will be cancelled out, is equal to T0 to the power 4 minus 2 to the power 4, that will be actually 16 T to the power 4, that is what you can actually use. Now from here, if you take T to the power 4 here and this you bring here, you will be getting 81 plus 16, 97. T to the power 4 is equal to 2 T0 to the power 4. So finally 97 by 2, you will get T0 is equal to 97 by 2 power 1 by 4 into temperature T. 97 by 2 power 1 by 4, that is into temperature T. Clearly you can see that 97 by 2 power 1 by 4 into temperature T, option number C is the right answer. Rest all are incorrect. 97 by 2 power 1 by 4 into T, that is what you are going to get. as the required result in this. This exercise is of great help to you all. We have solved variety of questions in these 5 questions, and I wish that and I want from you all that you all practice some unsolved question on your own based upon this chapter. Very important chapter. Question can be asked in JEE main examination and JEE advanced examination too. And JEE advanced examination, let me tell you, the concepts can be clubbed together to actually frame one question. So you should be thorough enough. You should have actually practiced more to actually answer the question that will be coming in your examination. So I have this first set of 5 questions for your practice in this first exercise. I'll meet you all with the next 5 questions based upon this chapter, that is thermal properties of matter and JEE advanced question pattern. So till the time, wish you all the very best. Do practice more questions and let me meet with you all in the next session. Thank you everyone.